Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it, you already know. Like a torta with some bad habits. Bye up, bye up. Let's get to the intro. This is a good one. Welcome back to the channel. And if you haven't already hit the like and subscribe button, make sure you go ahead and do that. Put your notification bell on all so that we are directing the direction of the dope content that the gun stays kicking. And I appreciate all the support. I'm very humbled by it. 31 years later. No, not 31 flavors, but also 31 years later. Snoop Roberson is coming home. Does that man deserve to be out on the streets? Does he deserve redemption, a second chance? Someone who has been incarcerated since he was 15 years old, okay? And here's the kicker. Prior to that incarceration, he had just got out from doing juvenile time. So this man has been locked up almost 97% of his life, has been behind bars for a crime he may have not committed. Now, there's a lot of controversy behind that, because it involves a very talented and very known rapper from, of course, Northern California, Woody. Now, for those of you that don't know the story, Snoop Roberson is doing a life term in prison over a shooting that happened at a quinceañera that he may or may not have had any part in, but he kept his muzzle on lock. He stood loyal to the soil. He didn't tell on anyone in his neighborhood. He never gave up, whether it was him or not. And he exhausted every appeal, and he stood suffering behind those prison walls, behind those prison bars. For how long? Decades, right? And at the same time, as he sat back and watched his homeboys' rap careers flourish, he watched what was going on the outside with very minimal support, right? People just forgot all about Snoop Roberson. The story was hot when it was, and then it wasn't, and it was not. Let me tell you guys about Snoop. I seen a video that was made yesterday. I seen several videos that were made yesterday, and it's starting to become a topic. Is Snoop really getting out within the next 5 years? The answer is simple. Yes, he has action. From today into the next few years, depending upon what happens while incarcerated. If he gets write-ups, if he gets involved in anything, that could definitely change his date. But as of right now, he did take a deal when he went back to court, and he will be out within the next 5 years if he does everything that he needs to do to continue doing his time. Now, let's take it on back. There's a quinceañera being held, okay? Northern California. And allegedly, there were sureños or Southsiders present at that quinceañera. Now, we all know in Northern California, there are Southsiders known as upstaters. There's people that have moved from LA, San Diego, the Inland Empire, SGV, Nela, Sela, Harbor area. Everything that represents the Sur, they have gravitated and migrated up north in Northern California. And this isn't something that just happened gradually over time. This is something that happened in the late 90s, mid 90s, in masses, okay? Southsider neighborhoods started to spring up all over Northern California, places like Richmond, San Jose, Vallejo, Merced, Atwater, Modesto, all these different spots started to see an influx of Southsiders embarking on Northern territory. Now, I know a lot of people like to clown and comment and say, hey, the Northerners were not able to hold it down. The Southsider invasion started. But let me give you a history lesson by someone who actually lived it and was right then and there and was gangbanging actively at the time. Here's the kicker. Southsiders didn't invade. They have always been there. They have always been woven into the fabric of Northern California. That's a fact. No one can dispute it. Now, I hear other people saying Southerners never went outside at night. You couldn't really see them. They stood in homes. They built numbers. kind of cold and calculated and smooth, but I'm here to dispel that myth as well. Although you might not have seen them, they were always there. Southerners have been in Northern California since the establishment of the Sureño Soldado, the Southsiders. They were always there. They just weren't there in great numbers. And as their families migrated from LA and San Diego and Southern California, they started to peek their head out a little bit more and to establish a foothold in Northern California. You started to see barrios and spray paint and all that. And that's the honest to God truth. They didn't just come out one day and be like, let's gangbang and let's fight everybody. It wasn't like that. It was a gradual thing, but Southsiders always had a presence. I remember when I started to gangbang, there was a presence of Southerners. They were always lurking. They were always there. We just didn't see them as a threat in the beginning because they didn't have enough numbers to do much damage to what we had going on in Northern California. It's kind of like if Northerners were able to establish a foothold or some type of barrio in Southern California, which I don't believe will ever happen. But if it did, let's just say, for instance, of course, you wouldn't see them in mass numbers, so they wouldn't even be a threat. But eventually, over time, as they accumulated numbers, as more people got indoctrinated and educated into the plight of the cause, then you would start seeing a little bit more spray paint and a little bit more. It's how it goes in the gang lifestyle, right? It's not all at once. It's gradual. It's that drip. It's that drip. Follow the drip. Follow the drip. So in Northern California, in Antioch, California, you started to see Southerners here and there in the surrounding areas. That's how it is in the Bay. You don't see much, but they're there. Just like that indictment that just had happened in Oakland. No, if you had talked to a Norteno in Oakland, even a BB in Oakland, they'll say the Southern presence isn't that major. It isn't that serious. But obviously, the Fed seen it as something different. And you had guys that got caught up allegedly for over 34 bodies. Okay, 9 Southsiders out of the city of Oakland and the surrounding areas. So they're there. Presence has always been there. Taking it on back to the Snoop case, Southerners were present allegedly at this quinceañera, to which 2 men burst into the door wielding shotguns, and shots were fired, and 1 person was killed. Okay, they identified one of the shooters, okay, as having reddish hair, being a white male wearing red, basically a white Norteno, which is, look, in Northern California, that's normal. Okay, you got a lot of light-skinned Norteños. You got a lot of white Norteños. Just like if you went to Southern California, you have white Southsiders or light-skinned Southsiders. That's just how it is, right? And so as these guys fled the scene, the detectives who had already had it out for Snoop Robertson, he was making a name for himself. He was a knucklehead in the neighborhood, right? They automatically assumed it was him. The description matched. Now, at the same time, there was also another Norteno from the same neighborhood who was light-skinned, white, with reddish hair. In fact, he was the only one from that neighborhood with reddish hair because Snoop Robertson's hair was a light brown. But you can see where they can get those 2 identities mixed up. Snoop was arrested. He was charged. He was tried. He was convicted, right? Now, he was given life in prison. And the streets talk. See, the streets know exactly who did what, why they did it, how they did it, and where they did it. And there was a lot of people over the years that always whispered that the rapper Woody was the actual shooter in that case. But there's one person that never said that, and that was Snoop. He took it on the chin. He decided his loyalty to his barrio, his cause, his friends was going to make him outlast the living. He was going to stay locked up and do his time. And you know what? Whether he did the crime or not, he was willing to do that. That's loyalty. That's loyalty. Let me explain something to you. Yesterday, I did a live on another social media platform. And I had 2 people tap into my live. 2 people that were very instrumental in my life. One of them was a crimey of mine. One of many. But you know, when you see guys talk about their crime partners, people that were in the car with them or people that actually did the crime with them or was around the area when it happened, it's always horror stories. It's always people saying, man, they told on me, or my crimey snitched on me, or he testified against me, or this or that. It's always those stories, right? And it's upsetting and it's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. And there's people that will put stories out there like that that ain't even true, but it just is what it is. But my crime, he tapped in yesterday. Someone who has followed my channel since I started, someone who has supported my channel since I started. And why? Because when we caught our crime together, I immediately initiated the process of taking my deal and getting him excluded from that crime. Now, he wasn't there. He had nothing to do with it. Zero. Okay, I took the whole case upon myself, and I went and did my time in the California prison system, and he was able to go out on the streets and wiggle. I did that, and he knows, and for that, he's always supported me. Like, damn, this is the homie. Yesterday, he was sending me all kinds of little things on the little tiki-taki, and it is what it is. But it feels good to still be able to have that relationship, that friendship with the friend that I know I was willing to go all out for, and he was willing to go all out for me, and I made the ultimate sacrifice for him because I felt in my heart, man, I put him in that position of that crime anyways. I'm the one who initiated the whole get down. And so why are two people going to prison, right? I kept my muzzle locked. I said he wasn't there. He didn't have nothing to do with it. I don't even know who that cat is. And he was gone. Another person that jumped in yesterday was one of my first, when on my first term in prison, right? One of my first cellies. And we reminisced a little bit. And he thanked me, even though he's still active and in the game and doing his thing. He thanked me for the time that we did together, for the education that I gave him while we were there, and for, like he said, making his time easier, man. Just a solid dude. These type of individuals were instrumental in my life because they made me the man I am today. They made me understand that going out and committing crime not only affects you, but it affects those that you care about or those that you rock with. In Snoop's case, this is a simple fucking situation where something maybe, quite possibly, allegedly, Woody could have done with someone else that didn't even involve Snoop, but because he was from that same neighborhood, because he had the same beliefs, because he rocked for the barrio, he was willing to sacrifice and let his homeboy blow up as a rap sensation in Northern California while he sat in them dungeons for over 31 years, not counting what he also did as juvenile time. Now, there's been a lot of controversy. A few years back, there was a video made that surfaced that talked about a note that was written upon Woody's death. Now, for those of you that don't know, it's a very controversial death as well when Woody, the rapper, who made several songs about and mentioned Snoop's name about freedom, even some people thought that he admitted that he was the one and that Snoop was not guilty and that he was the one that did the crime and that Snoop was sitting down for nothing. Look, if that was the truth, could Woody have come forward, admitted guilt, and said, hey, man, my homeboy had nothing to do with it. That was me. I'm the one that they described. I'm the one that did that shooting. He could have. But I'm sure conversations were had between him and Snoop where Snoop told him, nah, keep pumping your music out. Keep doing your thing, bro. I got this. But time wears any man down. And eventually, if given the chance, you want to come home. Several laws have changed. People have come, people have go. Snoop has stood solid. He has stood locked up. He has stood not telling the actual story, whether he was involved or not. You gotta give that man his flowers and his respect. Okay? We know that if Woody was involved at any level, he could have definitely came forward and got his homeboy released. But would you actually do that? Think about it. If you have a friend who's sitting down doing life behind a crime you did, are you loyal enough to that friend to go finally after so many years and admit, hey, you know what? That was me. Let me go ahead and do that. Let's switch places. Or are you just going to ride out to the Honeycomb Hideout and let your homeboy, he's been there, he's done that, he's already locked in, he's solid. I'm going to take care of him with the pill lawyers. I'm going to take care of him with money. I'm going to take care of him with canteen, with commissary, with packages, and just let him do his thing. I'm going to go ahead and get tortas all night and do my thing, but I'm going to let him live in there. That's a hard decision to make. And it's a decision that anyone that's sitting down watching this video right now has to really ask themselves, what would you do? Anyways, video surfaced a few years back where the rapper AWAX and other people were saying that there was a note, an actual letter written by Woody, saying that Snoop was innocent, that he was guilty and admitting guilt. Now, we all know, or those of you that from the northern community that know the story of Woody, he passed away under unusual circumstances. I'm not here to sit here and tell you guys how he passed away, what was going through his head when he passed away. But those that know the story know he died out of state, okay? And it was very unusual circumstances. And there's a conspiracy theory in that. You know, nobody wants to accept a great rapper's death. Tupac is still debated. Biggie's still debated. Everyone's still debated how they went, why they went. Look, Elvis has left the building. But has he? One never knows, does one? Someone thinks he's a pastor over there just chilling. Norma Jean, still talking about Norma. You know, I'm the type of guy that likes to roam around. Right? We don't know. But one thing we know, though, is that Woody has passed. And if that note was floating around, there was a lot of people implicating the fact that Woody's mother did not want to didn't want that note to surface, didn't want to put it out there. There was a lot of denial there. I understand a mother's love for her son. I respect it. Maybe she didn't want his legacy tarnished. There was a lot of people that thought it was because of monetary greed or whatever. Whatever the case, that is a legend in Northern California. Woody, that is his mother, and she's to be respected. Hey, if there is a note, she wants to put it out there, she has every opportunity, and that's on her. If not, also, again, that's a note written by her son that maybe she does not want put out there. Who knows what it says, and who knows if it says a little bit more details into what he had going on that she doesn't want expressed. So to everyone, their rights. But Snoop also needs justice. It has surfaced. Shout out to Killer Chronicles, man, who put the update out there. I've seen Dubs did a video, several others, the Northern Hispanic community on different platforms. And everyone's looking at it. Is Snoop really getting out in 5 years? Did he get the opportunity to go back and take a deal and admit guilt? Okay. I don't know if that's the case. I didn't read up on him going. I know that he went up to court, was denied, was shot down at board. But this is surfaced by Killer Chronicles, who does his extensive homework, puts out some of the best videos I've ever seen. I've reacted to a lot of them. If you're not tapped into Killer Chronicles, make sure you guys go tap into him, give him all the flowers and all the likes and you know, go subscribe to his channel because, man, he's definitely dope. He released a short video with an update saying that Snoop, after admitting guilt to these charges, will have action in 5 years at a date. If that's the case and that's the truth, finally, this man will get his justice. Look, there's a lot of people that are like, hey, you kill someone, let you rot forever. But they don't know the unusual circumstances. They don't know. Every case and every story is very different. I've been celled up or locked up on the yards with people that I know for a fact were innocent. But because their loyalty to their gang, their group, their homeboys, their family, they're sticking it out, hoping that they could win on an appeal. Snoop, I feel, man, is one of the most loyal persons that I've ever heard of. Imagine having a friend that's blowing up in the music industry and you want nothing more than to see them blow up. And you know, sitting down behind those bars every day, eating that SOS, prison style, I might add, doing whatever he's doing every day, going out to the yard, working out, just living day to day, suffering, because prison is suffering. That's what it's meant to do, and that's what it does, right? And watching your friend blow up and make music videos and this and that, and then your friend's gone. But you're still there. You're still suffering. You were loyal to the soil from the gate. You never once gave up the ghost on something you may or may not have been a part of. You stood 10 toes down doing time, and then your friend passes away under unusual circumstances, right? Whether self-inflicted or not. And you're still there suffering. That man has every right, had at that point every right to say, look, man, this is the truth. I really didn't do this shit. It was the homie, but look, you know what I'm saying? He's gone now, so he can't get him. You know, didn't do that. Still grinding, waiting, 31 years later. People are saying he doesn't deserve a second chance. Everybody deserves a second chance. He's not a convicted SA. He doesn't got weird charges. He didn't do what Jake the Snakey did. He's not into that weird stuff, man. He was a young man, 15 years old, that got convicted of a gang-related crime. We're all young at one point. We all think we're bad. We all do crazy stuff to impress our friends and to be, you know, recognized in our neighborhood if we're involved in that. And There's been plenty of guys that I've seen done murders. You know, Dub's one of them, man, who got redemption, a second chance, is making something out of their life. I believe it's about time that Snoop finally gets his opportunity and his chance, and shouldn't be ridiculed or disrespected by anyone by any means how he does it. Because, look, man, his friend never had to do a day in prison, a day in jail. Woody never did a day behind anything that had anything in involvement with Snoop. Anytime that he ever did or whatever he ever did was behind his loyalty to the Norteno movement. Where's the loyalty to the Homeboy? Right? At some point, you got to separate, you know what I'm saying, your cause, and recognize that there's someone suffering behind something that could have been what was in your hands. I don't know. From 5 years from now, we'll find out. Snoop did basically take these charges, did go up to court and get resentenced. He will be out in 5 years, depending upon what he does while incarcerated from this point to that point. You know, I don't know, man. I believe in redemptions. I believe in second chances. I believe Snoop is a changed man and has a different mentality. But one thing that has never changed with him is his loyalty to his friends, to those who he believes are his family. And look, we've never had those conversations, or we're privy to those conversations with Snoop and Woody to understand, man, what they talked about. Imagine having a friend locked up behind something you did. How'd that visit go? Did all his friends forget about him? It's 31 years later, and people are still talking about free Snoop. We'll see what happens. With that being said, man, 5 years from now, the gente are waiting on Snoop, man, free Snoop. It's a big story in Northern California based upon, man, it involves Woody. It involves all these different characters, man, that at the time, there was a lot of dirt happening. Watch the Killer Chronicles video. You'll get a better understanding of the whole story. But all I got to say is, yes, Snoop did go back to court. Yes, he did. They did make some amendments to his case, and he does have action in 5 years. We'll see if he gets out. Thumbs up or thumbs down. See, Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle for what I truly believe in. That's the betterment of all people. This video is sponsored by Vario, the Homeboys that be in that area, right? Go show some support. Go tap in with Vario Liquors and Turlock, man. Don't hate, congratulate, man. Go get you an icy one. Vario Liquors. Bang, bang.